Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here today, and I would like to begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to our hosts, the Supreme Audit Office of the Slovak Republic, for organizing this important conference. I would also like to extend my warm congratulations to Mr. Lubomir Andrasik, the Slovak Auditor General and first Vice President of EUROSAI, for his leadership in bringing us together for this crucial exchange of ideas. The issue of political party financing is one that holds great significance for the integrity of our democratic systems, and I am honored to share with you the experiences and insights from the Israeli State Controller's Office in this field. Our office has extensive experience in auditing political party financing, and today I look forward to presenting some of the challenges, strategies, and lessons we have learned. We believe that this sharing of knowledge and best practices will greatly contribute to our collective efforts in improving transparency and accountability in political financing, not just within Europe, but across the globe. Thank you once again, and I'm excited to engage in what I trust will be a fruitful and enriching discussion. And now I will move on to my presentation. You can see here that we have a very crucial role in auditing the political parties' financing in the State of Israel. Under the law, it is defined what are considered election expenses and sets the maximum amounts of donation which may be accepted by political actors. The law states that every candidate and party must administer their accounts in accordance with the guidance that we share with them and we submit them. And then they have to submit the financial reports to our office. And of course, as part of the transparency, everything is being published to the public. Of course, our office views the professional and fair auditing of political articles and publish the results also, which are presented both to our parliament and of course to the public. As part of it, we have also the power to fine some with some amounts those political parties whenever they are not following our instructions. What are the areas of the audits that we focus in? So in Israel, at least, there are many elections. One of them relates to the Knesset, to the parliament. The other one relates to municipal councils. And of course, there are also primary elections between candidates within the political parties. All of those areas are audited by us. And all the candidates should submit us financial reports, give us details about the donation they received, and everything is published to the public. What is the objective of the state audits in regard of elections? So there are few objectives. One of them is the safeguarding equality, because we want to see that each candidate reach the same ability to participate in the democratic process of election. Then we are also in Israel under law eliminating influence of donors. How we do it? By limiting the amount that can be donated to parties that are participating in election. Then we are also aiming to strengthen public confidence in the political system. How do we do that? By publishing our reports to the public and also sharing with them all the deficiencies that were found. And of course, there is the need to oversight the use of public funds. What is our audit powers? It's by law. So the state controller is empowered to establish within the audit report the following: whether the political actor administrated their accounts in accordance with the guidelines, whether the expenses were within the ceiling set down in the law. Once again, I return back to the idea that different parties should have the same ability to participate in election. And the third one is whether the political actors abided by the legal limits concerning receipt of donation. I can share with you that among those powers, we also look whether they coordinate and whether they implement our regulation and other laws in their activities, and we check if sometimes, for example, they don't pay their taxes on time. We should give them fine also for those deficiencies. What are the other results? It can be either a positive report or a non-positive report, or if the financial report is not submitted, the sanction will be eventually that they will not be able to receive any public funds related to the election process. In Israel, for example, during the previous elections to municipal council in 2018, we had elections in 250 municipalities. You can see here that we reached already a number of 1,500 lists and candidates that all of them should and did eventually send us their reports, and we checked them. What are the main audit results? Half of them received a positive report, but also the other half received a non-positive. Then sometimes we even fine them, or we tell them you have to fix the deficiencies that were found during the audit. And as part of it, you can see here the results. In Israel, we are the total election expenses in this local municipality was about 300 million shekels, which is 75, I would say, million euros. Most of it is covered by state funding. There is a little portion of that is covered by donations, and other that are covered by the candidates by themselves. And you can see here that many of them had deficit, and this was, of course, not correct, and therefore we submitted them and not a report with deficiency in order to be fixed. What are the main conclusions? We found out difficulties in dealing with banks. We also published, or we enforced publishing not only donation, but also loans given to municipal list and candidates. And there was also a decision of the state controller not allowing employment of relatives of candidates. And of course, we pay attention to lack of documentation. And in many times we said, for that reason, your report is not approved. So, as I mentioned, you can see here that as part of the non-positive report, there were sanctions at the cost of about, I would say, 1 million euro that the candidates had to send back to the treasury. But there were also other sanctions totaling about 1.8 million euro that they had to return to the treasury as part of our audit results. Now I go and I will demonstrate, I go back to the elections to our parliament, to the Knesset. You can see here that in the main audit results were that most of the candidates received a positive report, but there were some with non-positive report. The total expenses regarding the process to the parliament was about 250 million shekel, which is about 65 euros. And out of them, they were also, we gave them some fines that totaled about 100,000 euros. You can see here comes from the treasury. Almost 99% of the money that was raised was based on public funds that the political parties received. What were the main audit issues? We checked hiring by political parties of candidates' relatives. We checked issues of payment of salary bonuses. We oversight the contractual agreements and arrangements. We also looked in the parties' activities in non-compliance with legal requirements, such as reporting and paying income tax, social security, and other issues related to their legal demandings. As part of our role, we also set up some provisions of the use of public resources. For example, you cannot use it. You cannot use public funds from national elections to campaigns in local elections in order to safeguard equality between candidates, and etc. There are also other provisions on use of public resources. For example, I decided that the public interest mandates that the political parties and candidates must also publicize information regarding loans and guarantees they received similar to donation, and everything is published in our website to all the public in Israel. Of course, there are some limitations on donations, and you can see them here demonstrated. Another very important item we looked as part of our audit process was the protection of political party databases, because many of the parties, they obtain large databases about all the electing body, the people that elect them, and we looked whether those databases are protected and relevant laws were imposed in handling those databases. We found deficiencies, and the parties were requested and recommended, of course, to fix it in order to keep on and to see that privacy is being kept under law. And of course, we submit our reports, as I mentioned, both to the parliament, but also they are presented in our website. And of course, the parties should submit the reports, the auditor reports to us, and then we check it. As part of our innovations in our office, I would share with you, first of all, we produced an online learning tools on the subject of political financing. And we taught those learning tools to all auditors that are involved on behalf of the candidates. We also hosted an assembly at our office for candidates to teach them about the process and the reporting requirements. And we also published a handbook for auditing accountants, dealing reporting requirements and processes. And finally, we set up a phone center, candidates and their representative to call us if they need any question. I think this is very important, very crucial, not only to audit later on, but also to let and to be accessible for the candidates, to let them know what are the procedures, how they can follow it up. And if they have a question, they can ask us and we'll give them an answer ahead. I can share with you some very interesting stories. For example, as part of our audit, we found out some candidates that purchased baby food, cereal, and candy as part of their, of course, expenses. We said this is not the purpose of the public funds, and of course, they had to reduce those kinds of expenses out of their report. But we see many times that the candidates are very creative in looking into those kinds of expenses. We also look about unreasonable payments, because some of them are paying very huge amounts of money to their contractor. And for example, we also looked whether there is a very high rate of interest paid on a loan that received by the head of the list, and this was, of course, unallowed by us. So I would like to thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And finally, I would like to share with you that we, as state auditors, have been entrusted with overseeing one of the most fundamental process in a democratic state, the election public authorities by eligible voters. This responsibility is both a reflection of the trust placed in us and a significant duty we bear. It is our obligation to ensure that public resources are managed responsibly and efficiently, safeguarding the democratic process from any undue influence. Thank you very much and have a nice day.